Over the course of 20-something's career stories, I have interviewed a lot of professional communicators in the form of photographers, videographers, new media specialists, influencers, writers, and marketing PR people. As such, I've compiled a quick hit of their advice for people interested in pursuing a career in communications. As you're watching, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.
I guess the advice is that there is no one way to do it. Like some people, like myself, like you went to school and you concentrated in the arts, and but maybe you didn't go to film school. Maybe you didn't go to graduate school. Some people do go to grad school, and some people are lawyers or accountants or stock, brokers or investors that just decided to drop all of that and become photographers. And I've heard those stories, and they're really good. These people that have done that, like, I don't think that there's any one way to get to this goal of being, a photographer, professional photographer. There's no one way. I wouldn't get discouraged that this person went to film school and you didn't. This person went to art school and you didn't, because that doesn't make them better than you.
Yeah, I would say, especially now, the great thing is that the sports world and the marketing world, it's growing. Schools are doing more, digital media is becoming a bigger thing, social media is becoming more and more important. And as time goes on, they create, the next TikTok or the next Clubhouse app. We're definitely on the younger generation to kind of show us how these things are done. I remember when, Twitter and Instagram first came out, a lot of people were hesitant to use it. They were saying that it's going to be here for a few minutes and it's going to be gone. But whether it's here for a year or 6 years, if that's what people are into, if that's what's trending, it's got to be used. So I definitely think that the younger generation has the advantage because they were born into the age of technology and they don't know life without technology. So because of that, they're so good at using it. So whether you're a freshman in college or, a junior in high school, volunteer for your athletics department, volunteer for local restaurants around town, and just keep honing your skills.
I think having the ability to adapt to communicate and meet clients where they are and be able to serve them and communicate with them how they best communicate is really critical. The writing skills are also really critical because, of course, in today's day and age, people are consuming content in so many different ways. So we have to be able to write long form content like articles and bylines. We have to be able to do blogs that are maybe a bit more marketing focused, and we can maybe talk about that crossover a little bit later, but being able to kind of take on the voice and the persona of the different people you might be, ghostwriting for, which we do sometimes. And then of course the short form communication like social media and even texts and emails that we're sending clients, having to be able to kind of write those in the appropriate way.
Do research that has nothing to do with any specific marketing company. Do research that is about people. I think that unless you are able to understand people, understand why they think the way they do, understand why they act the way they do, whatever the case is, I don't think that you can really be an effective marketer. So I would 100% suggest getting into those things, like whether it's psychology, behavioral economics, sociology, any of those things, UX, which, sort of draws from all of those things.
Right.
I absolutely suggest learning about all of them.
I honestly think the biggest misconception is that it doesn't take that much time to do. It might seem really effortless once you're watching it on Instagram or Instagram story. And I think that's one thing that, consumers don't necessarily understand about influencers, and also that causes influencers to not necessarily know their own worth, especially because there's not really a pricing standard for content creators and influencers right now, because you think, oh, it's just an Instagram story. It's 15 seconds. I'm talking to the camera. Like, how long could that possibly, if you're working with a brand and they're paying you also, you have to do the emails back and forth with the brand. You have to redline a contract and make sure that everything looks good. You have to then figure out if you need to go scout a location or hire a photographer and factor all of that stuff in. Then you need to actually create the content. After that, you need to do all the post-production stuff. So maybe you have to trim it, edit it, etc. You have to add a caption. It has to include the branded hashtag. It has to all flow properly. Then the brand has to approve it. If the brand doesn't like something, depending on your contract, you might need to reshoot it, even if you did it exactly the way they said it, they wanted you to. And so all of that later, you could spend a whole day doing this one thing. And so you need to make sure that you're charging appropriately and that you're accounting for that.
I would say there's not like a path. There's no like you go to school for this, you get a job doing this, and then you move up. Production is kind of one of those things where if you go on sets or if you just volunteer to be hands or just pick up as much knowledge as possible, like you'll be accepted in. It's, I mean, like I was saying before, like my one coworker was a biologist and then taught himself how to animate in After Effects and got a job doing design and animation. I just happened to be on a track from high school where this made sense, but it's an easy thing to jump into if you are hardworking and willing to learn and willing to start kind of at that base. Like, I don't know anything, teach me. And hopefully, it works out and you learn from some really cool people.